Hi, Tamara here, author of The Profitable Good and creator of the Sustainability Lens Game. So I'm here to go a little bit further into our first chapter of The Profitable Good, and we laid down kind of the understanding and vocabulary of some of the frameworks behind The Profitable Good. And now I want to take a look at you, okay? Because that's one of the most important things when we're looking at enterprises and how we can make them more innovative and sustainable is the leadership, right? It's you. You're going to be leading this. You're going to be making these decisions. You're going to be guiding the way. So how do you do that? So one of the things that we look at in this book, we have this premise that you as the entrepreneur have the most power in the room, right? You're the one that can affect the futures of others by choosing how you're sourcing your products, how you're delivering your production, how are you providing your services, right? So, and making mindful, well-informed choices, you can positively improve many different things, right? We're looking at energy, we're looking at community, well-being. So that's kind of fun. So one of the things that we want to do is think of ourselves as an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur has many different types, many different strengths, many different ways of doing things. So this book looks at the entrepreneurship spectrum, and it looks at all the different types of ways that we go about being entrepreneurs. And we have this kind of yin yang. So this is a model that was put together by Lerner, Hunt, and Verrill. And I had met them at a conference, and I just loved how they were presenting this. It's called the dual banjo model. And originally it was for neurodiversity because they were studying ADHD and entrepreneurs. I also spent many years working with neurodivergent entrepreneurs. But in the process, I realized that this is for everybody. And actually, we're probably all a little neurodivergent anyway. And what they discovered was there's these specific steps that entrepreneurs go through in the process of developing, creating, and growing their business. And there's specific skills that are needed as each step is achieved. And we're not always experts in every single skill there is. And so this is an assessment that I have in the book. And what's really good about this is it helps us to understand where's our strengths and where's our weaknesses as we're going through all of the different skills needed to go through this entrepreneurial cycle, right? To grow and develop an enterprise. And by knowing on a scale of 1 to 5, we get to rate ourselves how good or bad we are in these different areas. It helps us to anticipate where might we have problems as we move forward with our business? Where might it be difficult to be building a profitable good? Okay, so by knowing in advance, where's our 5s, where's our 4s, where's our 3s, things that we aren't so sure about, we can plan. We can plan to bring on other people that know those areas well. We can be ready to know that this is going to be a little bit more difficult for us so that we put ourselves in the right mindset for positive growth. So if we take a look at the different steps, the first one, and it's set as a yin yang because everything has a positive and a negative to it. Okay. So the first one is interest, right? How interested are you in this business? Okay. And so we have the idea of attraction, right? Oh, this is great. I'm really interested in it. This is wonderful. But then we also have the idea of reflection, right? Where they're at either ends of the spectrum, because we don't want to just say yes, yes, and jump into every opportunity that comes our way. We want to be a little discerning. Okay. So we have this idea of interest, and then there's a skill set that goes along with interest. So do we have a natural curiosity? Do we have a can-do attitude? How good of a problem solver are we that can see the big systems, big picture? What's our business experience? What kind of creativity do we have? Okay, and then we would rate ourselves on this, and we would see what's our strengths, okay, and interest. The next part of an enterprise goes into opportunity, recognition, and belief, where we're looking at how well can we understand and recognize an opportunity, okay? And then how well do we understand and recognize a threat? And a lot of times those threats can be turned into opportunities, but seeing a threat, seeing an opportunity take skills. Okay. And these skills are skills that can be built. They're skills that are inherently a part of us. It really depends. Okay. Then we move into the nascent behavior, which is the entrepreneurial behavior, where we're looking at initiation, and then we're looking at structuring and follow through. So again, these are spectrums, right? Because the initiation is let's go and let's get started, right? But then do you have the perseverance? Are you able to sustain that initial let's go, right? And continue to show up and show up and show up, even as maybe some people say no, some sales aren't developed, things are slow to get going, there's all different hurdles. Are you going to stay the course? Okay. And again, with each of these, we have this assessment where you can, there's a micro breakdown of the different skills involved in each of the different sections, and you can rate yourself on how good you are in each of them. Okay, so we're having this piece where we're building awareness. We're building awareness of the entrepreneurial cycle and also the different personal attributes that we need. Next, we go into resource acquisition, right? So we've recognized there's a need. Actually, number 3, we have the entrepreneurial behavior. Okay, so we want to do something. We see there's a need. Now we have to go do it, right? Making it happen. Okay, then we have to go and get organized, right? We need to get our resource acquisition. How are we going to source our stuff? What kind of relationships are we going to have? What are we going to be making? So there's a lot of experimentation. Different types of personalities are needed here, different skill sets, right? After that, we move into the resource coordination. So we're getting a little bit more structured now, a little bit more management focused. We figured out some of the new innovations. Now we have to continue to repeat them. We have to produce. Okay, and that takes us into our value capture and exploitation. We have to continue to be competitive. We have to continue to evolve. Okay, keep moving forward with that. And then we have our innovation. Okay, because as we're moving forward and developing our piece, other people are going to be doing the same thing we're already doing. So how can we continue to innovate, continue to stay one step ahead of everybody else? Okay, so that's our entrepreneurial cycle. What's really important is knowing where you are, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, so you can be prepared. So you can bring in extra support on the areas that you need support, and you can dig into your strengths on the areas that you have strengths. Okay, because all of this is going to be important as we're going through our profitable good. Okay. Once you do that, you would then do a SWOT analysis of yourself. So think about looking at all those pictures. Think about your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. Okay. And a lot of times I find, and this is going to be controversial, but I find AI is very helpful in assessing how things turn out. If I do some kind of self-assessment, I can ask AI to kind of interpret that for me. And sometimes that gives me a little bit more insight that I might not have seen, kind of trying to go through it piece by piece. But you want to do that, carefully. Okay, so look at your own results, think about what they might mean, and then if you want, you can load them into an AI chat and ask them to tell you what they think. So that's our instruction today is that self-awareness. Who are you as an entrepreneur? Where are your strengths on this entrepreneurial cycle? Thank you.